What would make Ricky Gervais, known for his razor-sharp wit and love of comfort, suddenly give up his prized first-class seat mid-flight? And how did that simple act lead to an incredible series of events that left an entire plane in awe? Stick around, because what happens next is truly extraordinary. It all starts with a guy we all know and love, Ricky Gervais, the razor-sharp comedian from The Office, host of award shows, the man who says what's on his mind without blinking. We know Ricky for being funny, sometimes controversial, maybe even a little cheeky. But today we're talking about a different side of him, the side that's full of heart. Ricky's booked on this flight heading from New York to Los Angeles. You know, big city to big city. And of course, Ricky's flying first class. Come on, he's Ricky Gervais. First class is his jam. A glass of champagne, extra legroom, a big comfy seat. He's not a cramped economy guy. Not that there's anything wrong with economy, of course, but Ricky? He's earned his spot in the plush section of the plane. Anyway, he's walking on the plane, probably minding his own business, and he notices something. Not a big scene or anything, just this elderly guy making his way down the aisle. A quiet man moving carefully, leaning on this worn-down cane. But it's not just the cane that catches Ricky's attention. It's the jacket the man's wearing. It's plain, sure, but you can see these patches stitched onto it. Military patches. They kind of tell a story without him having to say a word. And Ricky? He's watching. Not because he's nosy, but because, well, you can't not notice. There's something about this man. He's got this presence about him. Quiet dignity, you know? And as the man walks past, Ricky overhears him saying something to the flight attendant. Something soft, almost shy. The man's telling her it's his first time flying since he came home from active duty. Decades ago. First time. Decades since he served, and now here he is, just trying to get from one place to another. I mean, think about that for a second. This man probably gave some of the best years of his life to serving others. And here he is, boarding a plane, probably not asking for anything, just quietly going on his way. But Ricky can't shake what he just heard. He's staring at the back of the man's head walking toward economy. Then he looks down at the first-class seat waiting for him, and you know Ricky. He's got thoughts racing now. On one hand, yeah, it's his seat. He paid for it. But on the other hand, how do you sit there, stretched out all comfortable, knowing that this man who's probably seen and lived things you can't even imagine is squished back there in economy? That thought doesn't sit well with Ricky. Not at all. Now here's the thing about Ricky. He's not the loud, in-your-face, look-at-me-being-a-hero type of guy, but when he feels like he can do something positive, he acts. No hesitation, no overthinking. Ricky stands up, walks over to where the man's settling in and says, "Excuse me, sir. I don't mean to interrupt, but would you mind switching seats with me? I've got a first-class seat up there, just going to waste, and I figured you'd be a better fit for it." The man looks at him like he doesn't quite understand what's happening. Because honestly, who does this? But before the veteran can even say no, Ricky's throwing in classic Ricky humor. "Don't make me beg," he jokes. "I'm warning you. My sad face is awful to look at." The man laughs. A warm laugh, like he hasn't had a stranger approach him this kindly in a while. But he still tries to say no. You know how it is. Politeness, gratitude, but not wanting to make a fuss. But Ricky, he's persistent. Charmingly so. "Come on," he says. "The seat's already paid for. You'd actually be doing me a favor. I can't sit too comfortably. It'll ruin my comedy edge." Finally, the veteran agrees, reluctantly but clearly touched. And as they swap spots, there's this quiet, "thank you," exchanged. You could tell it wasn't just a thank you for a seat. It was bigger than that. Now Ricky's back in economy. Middle seat, of course, because that's what you get when you don't book economy early enough. But Ricky, he's not sulking. No, he's cracking jokes, making the people around him laugh like they're at an impromptu comedy show at 30,000 feet. That's just Ricky, turning a tight space into a good time. But mid-flight, things take an unexpected turn. The captain comes on the intercom, and you know how those announcements usually go. Something about turbulence or jet streams. But this time, there's a different tone. Serious, respectful. And the captain says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a moment to honor a very special passenger on board today." And then, Then he introduces the veteran, Master Sergeant Harold Jack Turner, a Medal of Honor recipient. And suddenly you can feel the air change in that cabin. Everybody's listening now. People are sitting up straighter. The captain starts telling this story, this incredible story of bravery about the man sitting up in first class. Medal of Honor stories, they don't come lightly. You don't just hand out that award. It's earned in moments that most of us couldn't even handle. And here's this soft-spoken man, sitting silently, being recognized for something extraordinary he'd done decades ago. Sacrifices he made, risks he took, lives he saved. The whole plane erupts into applause. People are cheering, some are crying. Here's this hero, this quiet presence, finally getting the recognition he deserves. And Ricky? Ricky's clapping too, smiling in that way that says, this is exactly how it should be. But it doesn't end there. When the plane lands, the passengers make their way off thinking it's over, that they'll go back to their lives with just a nice story to tell. But no. Nope. This story isn't even close to done. Because when Ricky and Sergeant Turner step into the terminal, it's chaos. Reporters, cameras, people holding signs, waving flags. Turns out another passenger had snapped a quick photo of Ricky swapping seats with Sergeant Turner and tossed it up on social media. That post, it went viral. I'm talking worldwide viral. And by the time they landed, the story had spread like wildfire. Crowds showed up to honor Sergeant Turner. Veterans, families, people who just wanted to shake his hand or say thank you. And Ricky? Well, he's standing there, watching this guy finally get a moment of the spotlight he truly deserves. But then, here comes the part that blows it out of the water. Some big-shot veterans charity shows up, right? Says they saw the story and were so inspired by the kindness and the recognition that they're pledging a $1 million donation to help veterans. $1 million bucks. Just like that. And Ricky, being Ricky, he cracks a joke. All I did was give up my seat, he says. Didn't realize I could have been moonlighting as a fundraiser this whole time. But then he turns serious. Grateful. Because you know Ricky gets it. This isn't about him. It's about Sergeant Turner and every other veteran like him who deserve moments like this. Sergeant Turner's family is there too, tears in their eyes. His grandkids approach Ricky, thanking him for shining this light on their granddad. And Sergeant Turner? He pulls Ricky aside, away from the crowd, and says something that Ricky will probably never forget. It's not just the seat, he says. It's the kindness. People need to see kindness like that. To remember it still exists. And Ricky? He nods, says something funny probably to lighten the mood, but deep down he knows this moment, this whole thing is bigger than a seat on a plane. And that's the story. A simple act of kindness turned into something so much more. It lit a spark, not just for Sergeant Turner, but for everyone who heard it. Because that's the thing, isn't it? Kindness, it's not just about the moment. It's about the waves it creates after.